السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. I probably have misspoke last Friday when I said that we will be doing Surah Al-Asr. In fact, we have 3 surahs that we need to finish. So there's this surah, لإلاف قريش, Surah Al-Fil, ألم ترى كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل. And then after that, ويل لكل همزة لمزة. And then Surah Al-Asr, inshallah. Right? You're checking the order? Okay. طيب, barakallah fikum. So inshallah, today we want to do the 2 surahs, the Ilaf Quraysh and Surah Al-Fil. In the order of the Mus'haf, Al-Fil comes first and then Surah Quraysh. So because we will be doing the 2 together today, let me start with Surah Al-Fil, and actually there's some relationship between the 2 surahs. So at the beginning, we probably can remind ourselves with the context of the surah. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was born on the year of the elephant. They call it the year of the elephant. And what has happened was that a person by the name of Abraha was in Yemen, and it seems that they were following the some form of Christianity. Apparently somebody has put some dirt in one of their churches, and out of revenge they wanted to destroy the Kaaba. Some Arab who belonged to the people who used to go to Mecca. So this was before Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, of course, obviously. Abraha was very arrogant, and at the same time he was very powerful. And they used to get those elephants from Africa. The people of Mecca didn't know about elephants. It was very new to them. But they used to hear about them, and apparently they were a very scary animal. And as in their old days, when they have nothing but maybe some arrows and swords, the elephant is something that above and beyond their imagination. So Abraha went with his big army with the elephants towards Mecca, all the way until they reached very close. At that point in time, he has sent some messengers to the people of Mecca to see if they can just take it without any fight. And at that time, subhanallah, Arabs were very scared. And Abu, the grandfather of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was the one who negotiated with Abraha, and he came and he told him, your people have taken my camels, and I'm here to ask for them. So Abraha was very surprised. I thought you are coming here to defend the Kaaba, or at least to ask me to stop attacking the Kaaba, but now I see you're asking for your own camels. He said, I'm the Lord of my camels, but for that house there's another Lord. We probably all know this story, and then of course Abraha gave him his camels, and he actually thought of Arabs to be nothing, and in fact they were nothing. What made Arabs good? It was only the Quran. And therefore, if Arabs have no connection with Quran, they are worthless. They are worthless. And this applies to every human. In fact, anyone who has not reached to understand their Lord and or at least worship their Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala, then I don't know what value they have on this planet of Earth. But anyways, what we should say is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored the language itself. Allah did not honor the people. So the only people who will be honored by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are those who follow His book subhanahu wa ta'ala, or that follow His messengers. And we always say this, that Arabic language is a blessed language. Arabic language is a noble language because Allah has chosen it to be the language of His books, Quran. But people who speak Arabic are just like anyone else. And anyone who speaks Arabic even if they are not Arab descendants, they get the noble achievement of speaking the language of the Quran. And what we have in today's time is that people who claim they speak Arabic, in reality they don't speak Arabic. They speak a form of dialect that is called Arabic, but it's not true Arabic. I always try to say this because Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam has said, "Man abta'a bihi amaluhu lam yusra bihi nasabuh." Whoever his acts of worship are slow, then their lineage will never get them better, or will get them faster without the good actions. And that is actually how Islam, subhanallah, came to show all humanity that what matters is what goes in your heart and what goes into your mind. Okay, so Abraha then decided to just go and take over and destroy the Kaaba. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stopped them in two ways. One was that the elephant, the big elephant or the major elephant or the lead elephant, has stopped walking. If they forward the elephant to go east, west, whatever, the elephant may walk, but towards the Kaaba, the elephant refused to walk. So that was one. And this way they had to go themselves to destroy the Kaaba. The elephant did not. So what did they do? They eventually gave up getting the elephants. So they wanted to go themselves, and that's where the second punishment came, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent those birds in flocks, and they were carrying those small pieces of clays. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said sijil, hijaratin min sijil. Sijil is a baked clay. So it's not the stone itself. It has the same impact like a stone, but it is a clay that has been baked, that has become as strong as a stone. So they were throwing them on the people, and Wallahu alam, some narrations have said that every stone of this that goes on a human, it actually penetrates through the body all the way to the ground. So they were holes. They were all holes, and subhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed them all. Except for few people who actually refused to move forward, and those were the ones who actually have reported the whole incident to the people afterwards. But of course, the bodies of the army was available, or was actually seen by the people of Mecca afterwards. And subhanallah, this became one of the strongest reasons that the people of Mecca became even more attached to the Kaaba. And by the way, it's one of the blessings and bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah has placed people, even at the time when they were disbelievers, who truly loved the Kaaba, truly loved that place of worship. So they were serving the Kaaba with everything that they can. In fact, when the Kaaba was destroyed before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because of some flooding and some inclement weather, they wanted to rebuild it. You know what their agreement was? Their agreement was that no one will put a dirham. A dirham is the lowest currency of that time, except that is coming from the most pure income. So even Arabs in Jahiliyyah, who were disbelievers, who were burying their daughters alive, who were doing all the nonsense, still, when it comes to Kaaba, they were protecting it, they were serving it in the best way. So subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made this house peaceful, available to people from all over the space, from the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, when he said, Rabbi ij'al hadha al-balada aminan. Oh Allah, make this land or this place peaceful. Okay, so with that said, I think we already have the context, so we can start inshallah with the surah. أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ بِأَصْحَابِ الْفِيلِ. Didn't you see, O Muhammad, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has dealt with the people of the elephant? Now I want you to just remember the story of the people of Al-Kahf. The people of Al-Kahf had a dog with them, right? So let's just make a comparison here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about the people of the Kahf, of the cave, with their dog. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the dog, He said, Kalbuhum, Kalbuhum, the dog of those, of this group, right? So Allah associated the dog with the group. So the group is the main thing, and then the dog was just a follower. Here it's the opposite. Allah said, Ashabu al-Fil, the people of the elephant. So, which means that the elephant was the main thing, and those people were just, mentioned because of the elephant. And the ulama have said that in Surah Al-Kahf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored the people who went to the Kahf because they were fityatun amanu bi rabbihim. They were youngsters who believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they wanted to escape from their people who were not worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah has honored them and has honored everyone who was with them, including the dog. So the dog was nothing compared to them. And Allah has mentioned the dog as someone who happened to be with them. But here, it's the opposite. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the elephant and those people as people who happened to be with the elephant. You know why? Because the elephant was better than all of them. Because the elephant, at least as an animal, believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِلَّا يُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِهِ. That everything in this whole universe would praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَكِنْ لَا تَفْقَهُونَ تَسْبِحَهُمْ. But you don't understand their praises to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah also has said in Surah Al-Hajj, أَلَمْ تَرَى, don't you see, أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَسْجُدُ لَهُ, that to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the following will fall prostrating. يسجد له من في السماوات ومن في الأرض والشمس والقمر والنجوم والجبال والشجر والدواب وكثير من الناس وكثير حق عليه العذاب. Don't you see that the following fall prostrating to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Whoever on this planet Earth, whoever in the heavens, والشمس, the sun, والنجوم, the stars, والجبال, mountains, والشجر, the trees, the animals, والدواب. And then Allah said, وَكَثِيرٌ مِّنَ النَّاسِ, and many of the people. He didn't say all the people, as he said the animals and whatnot. But when it came to human, those are the only exception, of course, with the jinn, that they have some believers and some disbelievers. And that is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put this amana on our shoulders, that Allah gave us the intellect, Allah gave us the ability to distinguish between truth and evil, and not only the ability to distinguish, but also the ability to choose which one to follow out of these. Okay, so أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ بِأَصْحَابِ الْفِيلِ أَلَمْ يَجْعَلْ كَيْدَهُمْ فِي تَضْلِيلٍ. Didn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala convert their plot against the Kaaba into waste? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken that into or has made it astray, or to go astray. No one who has heard about the army of Abraha, except that they were actually expecting that the Kaaba will be destroyed completely. And I want you to just imagine that the Kaaba has been targeted by so many different, in so many different incidents in the history, that they wanted to attack it and destroy it. And that didn't happen. The worst time that the Kaaba was attacked was in a time of what they call it Al-Qaramita. Qaramita were the, if you know the Ismaili, you know what Ismaili means? Okay, Ismaili. Ismaili is a form of Shia who actually differ from the 12 verse. So the Ismaili attacked the Kaaba, they killed the people, and they stole the black stone. And they put it somewhere in what we call it nowadays Ahsa in Saudi Arabia, which is the east zone of Saudi Arabia, close to Dammam or Dhahran for the people who know it. An area called Al-Qatif or Al-Ahsa. So they placed it there, and it stayed there for several years, and then alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ended their oppression. But they did not really, no one was able to destroy the Kaaba. The Kaaba was destroyed multiple times because of weather, because of flooding and whatnot, but never that people managed to go and destroy the Kaaba, despite the fact that so many times, so many incidents in the history, people have tried to do as such, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always the protector. So in أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ بِأَصْحَابِ الْفِيلِ أَلَمْ يَجْعَلْ كَيْدَهُمْ فِي تَضْلِيلٍ وَأَرْسَلَ عَلَيْهِمْ طَيْرًا أَبَابِيلَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent against them birds in flocks. Ababil is very interesting in Arabic. Ababil is a plural of Ibbil, and Ibbil means the flocks of birds. So this is a plural of plural. You see the point? So as if you are saying groups of birds. You see so Ababil is a plural of Ibbil, and Ibbil means the plural of birds. It's like flocks of birds, and another flocks of bird, and a third flocks of bird, and they were all coming to destroy or to punish the people. So وَأَرْسَلَ عَلَيْهِمْ طَيْرًا أَبَابِيلَ تَرْمِيهِمْ بِحِجَارَةٍ مِّن سِجِيلٍ, and they were throwing on them those baked clays. فَجَعَلَهُمْ كَعَصْفٍ مَأْكُولٍ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed them and made them look like what is left from any plant after it is eaten. So just imagine some animals are eating corn. So what do they leave after they eat the corn? Whatever the leaves, or probably some of the stick, and then when that become dry, this is asfun ma'kul. So what has been left after eating the fruits and then became dry, and so subhanallah, it's like destroyed completely. Now the surah is actually pointing out to multiple things. One is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may destroy the strongest army with the weakest of his creation. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have sent them angels to destroy them, right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent them just birds. And who will be scared of birds? No one. I mean, everyone was scared of elephants, but birds were nothing, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has destroyed what was in their minds the strongest and most dangerous army by the least significant animal or birds that they may think about. And that is always, subhanallah, something to remember, that regardless of how powerful you are, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may test you with things that are of the least significant in your mind. Didn't the same thing happen during the time of COVID? Like what happened? I mean, all the countries, all the power that we have has been put into almost like a no effectiveness because of this disease. When the most powerful man gets a virus that will destroy their bodies, their strength will not help them, right? And the virus, I don't know if virus is a living thing or it's not. Allahu alam how they define it. But what I'm trying to say is that the least significant thing can destroy the thing that people will always give the all the the biggest title or think very highly about. And that actually is a lesson for all of us, that the one who created you, the one who created those little things, the one who created those major things is the same, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants something to happen, it will happen no matter what. Even if it means something that is very different from what we have always seen in our lives. And that is actually also another hope for all of us. People who have been suffering to see oppression spreading everywhere, to see that non-stop oppression at many places in this world. They cannot continue. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will destroy them. Just take that example of Syria. 54 years under the Assad regime. Father and his son. Each one is worse than the other. And subhanallah, wallahi, we lived in times, brothers and sisters, that people have almost, actually they gave up. People gave up. They said there's no way things will change there. No way. Wallahi, the person would be scared of his own brother. Wallahi, the person cannot utter a word against the regime, even in front of his dad. It was so horrible. It was so horrible that it was unbelievable that people would never think that there will be any thing to change this. And as you know, all the people around them, even after all the boycott that has happened with Assad regime, just this last year, the Assad started to go to the different Arab countries, and he was most welcome after all what he did. So there was no hope whatsoever. But subhanAllah, in less than 10 days, everything collapsed. Just less than 10 days. And if you ask any person who is following, they cannot explain to you what has happened except with one word. It's because of Allah. Nothing else. There's no way you can even understand it or comprehend what has happened there. It's only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing can change the regime that has. I mean, the amount of fear that people had in Syria is, I don't believe it was paralleled anywhere in the whole globe. But then how did this all change all of a sudden in less than 10 days? And then Syria is now a different country. It's only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And who was the army? The army, by the way, was nothing. Nothing. I mean, those who are now ruling Syria, they were nothing. And they are still nothing compared to the regime that was supported by, Russia, Iran, Hezbollah, and all those people. So once again, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants something to happen, you just cannot imagine the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we have to have this trust in Allah. And that is the most important lesson here. Don't ever be scared of how the people of evil are powerful. Don't ever be scared. Because at one point in time, Allah will change them. And when Allah's order happens, nothing can stop it. And we have this in so many incidents in the history, but this is just one example. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when this surah was revealed, it was actually a reminder for the people of Mecca that, see, those who have been oppressive, those who have gone astray, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has destroyed them with the least significant creation of His subhanahu wa ta'ala. So don't be like them. Now you're actually opposing Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You're causing all the harm to this da'wah. Don't be like them, because you will be eventually subject to the same punishment in a different shape or form. And that's exactly what has happened at the time of Badr, at the time of the conquest of Mecca, and so on. So that is the first surah, right? Surah Al-Fil. Now, this Surah Quraysh was revealed after Surah Al-Fil by some time, and it is related. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لِإِيلَافِ قُرَيْشٍ. At what time we should finish? 7:30. So at Allah, so فَجْعَلْهُمْ كَعَصْفٍ مَأْكُولٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, لِإِيلَافِ قُرَيْشٍ. لِإِيلَافِ fi Quraysh means for the safety and prosperity of the people of Quraysh. Now, the ulama have said, so what is this lam referring to? The ayah says, in order for this prosperity to happen for the people of Quraysh, or as if the statement is saying, we did this in order to bring safety, protection, and prosperity to the people of Quraysh. So the ulama were wondering, so what is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala referring to, that we did this for their prosperity? So there is a big group of ulama who have said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring here to Al-Fil, the incident of the fil, of the elephant, that Allah has destroyed them so that the people of Quraysh would have prosperity, would have safety, would have the environment that they can live peacefully at, and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's one of the major meaning of this li. Ilaf, again, ilaf means the ulfa, or the feeling of the great company between each another, that people will live together despite the fact that they came from different tribes and sometimes different even languages, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made them live like a family. And so that is ulfa. And at the same time, ulfa means safety and protection. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has protected this land so that the people of this land will be protected and will have a peaceful place to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to do their good things. Allah then said, إِلَافِهِمْ رِحْلَةَ الشِّتَاءِ وَالصَّيْفِ. Like a part of their security, part of their prosperity was those two journeys that they used to do, one to Sham in the summer and another one to Yemen in the winter. Sham in Arabic is referring to 4 countries nowadays. Palestine is the first one and most important one, Palestine. And then of course there's Syria, there's Jordan, and there is Lebanon. Those 4 countries now, they form what we used to call Sham. And this whole land is very blessed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that in the Quran, Subhana alladhi asra bi'abdihi layla min al-masjid al-harami ila al-masjid al-aqsa alladhi barakna hawlahu. The Masjid, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made Isra to go from Mecca to Jerusalem, and He subhanahu wa ta'ala said, الَّذِي بَارَكْنَا حَوْلَهُ, that we have blessed all the surrounding area. Of course, there are even other ahadith that talked about the blessings of Bilad al-Sham in general, and even some of them are talking about the blessings of certain cities, like Damascus, for example, Jerusalem. They have their own virtues as well. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the people of Quraysh the ability to go in the winter to Yemen, and in the summer to Bilad al-Sham, and bring the goods and sell what they have, and that actually has added to their prosperity and to their stability in living in the place. So لإلاف قريش إلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف فليعبدوا رب هذا البيت. I think this became a pattern, that every time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about a bounty for the people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also reminds them that you need to thank Allah for it through the acts of worship. So فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. Like Allah has made your place very safe. Allah has destroyed your enemy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you the ability to go and do your trading, bring the goods from in the winter time and the summer time. So you are not being you're not being blocked at any point in time. So what you should do, فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. Let them worship the Lord of this house, meaning the Kaaba. And subhanallah, the Lord of this Kaaba was the one who protected the Kaaba from the elephant army. So the two surahs coming together, they are very much connected. That's why it is very practical that if you are reading them in your salah, read Surah Alam Tara Kayfa Fa'ala Rabbuka bi Ashab al-Fil in the first rak'ah, and in the second rak'ah li'ilafi Quraysh. So فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say after this? الَّذِي أَطْعَمَهُم مِّن جُوعٍ وَآمَنَهُم مِّن خَوْفٍ. The one who has fed them after hunger, and the one who has protected them and provided for them security after fear. Now, subhanAllah, those two things, if you have what you need to eat and drink, and you are also safe, those are the two most important elements for a person to live, right? Because that what brings, inshallah, health, that what brings the feeling of content, and that what brings that you stability in any place. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam has said in an authentic hadith, "Man asbaha minkum معافا في بدنه آمنا في سربه عنده قوت يومه فكأنما حيزت له الدنيا بحذافيرها." Whoever amongst you starts their day safe in their place, healthy in their bodies, and have enough to eat for that day, then it is as if they have they own the whole dunya. It's as if they own the whole dunya, because what else can you ask for you to live? So if you have safety in your place, you have health in your body, and you have enough to eat and drink, what else can you ask for? Anything else is just luxury. That's not what really makes you happy and makes you able to do the purpose for which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created you for. So Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is always reminding us that it's as if you have owned the entire dunya. And I always ask myself, like when we may go through some hardship, even here in America, sometimes you lose your job, sometimes you go through certain maybe pain in your body, sometimes you get scared because you went to a bad neighborhood. But is any of that consistent on you? Like subhanAllah, I don't believe that anyone in America will be dying out of starvation. Did you ever hear this? Anyone has starved to death in America? There were incidents? But do they die out of hunger? Well, I mean, they could die because of diseases, but do they die because they have no food at all? Maybe one case, two cases, corner cases, right? But what happens in Africa, I mean, people are dying out of hunger. Yeah, they just don't have food. You see them, you see how skinny they are? Like they are just bones, and they die. And that happens multiple places. And the diseases, subhanAllah, most of us, I mean, when we get into some pain, we feel as if, subhanAllah, we have no more hope in this dunya. When, subhanAllah, many of our brothers and sisters have been facing death, almost death in their entire life, and they yet have hope, and they yet have a trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Similarly, about food, I mean, I still remember one of the first things that I have learned in America. I came here in 1997, and in that year, I met with a brother from Morocco, and his wife was a revert. So we did meet multiple times, and then I still remember that his wife said in front of me, she said, Sheikh, this is the first time in my whole life that I understand what hunger means. I never tasted hunger in my life. And this was because of Ramadan. She was fasting the first day of Ramadan, and she told me, this is the first time in my whole life, I believe she was at least maybe 30 years old, that I feel that I'm hungry. I'm truly hungry. And she said, from now on, I would never forget those needy people. So I think, subhanAllah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with so many things. And I always ask myself, when those people who are facing challenges after challenges, and yet they have been providing for their own families, and they have been following Allah's path, and they were also able to contribute to the Muslims in Palestine, in Gaza, those people in Syria, in Yemen, in Sudan, in Kashmir, in the Rohingya in Burma, people, the Muslims in China. I still remember one of the things that really brought tears to my eyes when I went to Beijing, and then I went to this one of the greatest Masjids called New Jay. I prayed Salatul Jummah there. I couldn't see a single person in the youth age. So when I went out, there were two very elder people, a man and a woman, and they had a very, very young boy, and the boy was wearing thawb and was wearing a kufi. So I was very happy and impressed. So I did ask someone with me who can translate. I asked him, could you please ask them, like, what are they doing? Like, I either see very old people or very minor people. So I was told that the youth cannot go to the masjid, are not allowed to go to the masjid. Whether it is because of study, because of work, or because of some regulations, Allahu Alam, I don't know, but they were not allowed to go to the masjid. And the way that people preserve Islam on their families is that they leverage the time of their early childhood to bring them to the masjid, implant the seed of love to the masjid, to the Quran at that very early age, and build in them some nice memories of salah, of prayer, of the masajid, so much so that when they go through this long period of youth, and then perhaps the mid-age, and they still remember those nice things. Then later, when they become older, and they are allowed and they are able to go to the masjid, there is something that brings them back to the masjid. So that was, subhanAllah, I was like, wow, what are we doing? I still remember a brother, wallahi, I went inside that masjid at Salat al-Asr. He had in front of him this audio device that he was playing Surah Al-Ghashiyah, Hal Ataka Hadith Al-Ghashiyah. I stayed in the masjid for about an hour and a half. And since I stepped in the masjid, he was playing Hal Ataka Hadith Al-Ghashiyah. I think it was Al-Manshawi or Al-Husari, one of them. And every time this Hal Ataka Hadith Al-Ghashiyah finished, he rewind and goes from the beginning. So almost hour and a half, and this man is repeating Hal Ataka Hadithul Ghashiyah on this cassette. And I was like, subhanAllah, what is he doing? So I asked, and they told me this man comes here every day trying to memorize those short surahs that he could not do when he was younger. And I'm like, Allahu Akbar, Hal Ataka Hadithul Ghashiyah. Any one of our children memorize it. And it doesn't take us nothing. Like, Hal Ataka Hadithul Ghashiyah, how many times you need to repeat it to memorize it? Hour and a half? Not even 5 minutes, not even a minute, wallahi. But that's what I'm trying to say, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with bounties, that each one of them is something that others are dreaming to have. Yet, their contribution to their religion, their contribution to Allah's cause is sometimes way more than what we do. Despite the fact that they don't have the tools, they don't have the means, they don't have the bounties, they don't have the ability. But yet, subhanAllah, we take things for granted. And that's what we should always remember, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. When you thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will increase you in the bounties. When you do the righteous good things, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, اعملوا آل داود شكرا وقليل من عبادي الشكور. That all the people of Dawood work in what pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because that in itself is considered as thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now the two surahs are complete. So لإلاف قريش إلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف فليعبدوا رب هذا البيت الذي أطعمهم من جوع وآمنهم من خوف. Maybe one last thing I would like to say here is that remembering those two surahs when you recite them in your prayer, inshallah, you can always focus on one of the meanings in each surah while you are praying. And subhanallah, one of the things that increases you in khushu' is that every time you recite the same surah, you try to think about different aspect of it. And that actually makes you always connected to what you recite. Like many of us now recite Surah Al-Fatiha, right? And we just recite it because it's a checkbox, right? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Waladdaleen Ameen. But do we really think about it? If we want to think about Surah Al-Fatiha in the details, then that would take us perhaps days and nights, and we will not finish Surah Al-Fatiha. But the nice thing is that because of all the great meanings in it, pick one meaning and just contemplate on it while you are reciting Surah Al-Fatiha. Like for example, Allah is called Ar-Rahman. Just remember that Allah's Rahmah, Allah's mercy applies to all humanity. Applies even to people who are so sinful. And that gives you hope. So recite Surah Al-Fatiha with that meaning in your mind. Of course, there's another day that when you recite Surah Al-Fatiha, you're asking Allah to guide you to the righteous path, the path of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his followers. And that gives you that contemplation that you belong to the best person that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. And not only that, you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to stay steadfast on this religion by following the very person that you love, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So once again, these two surahs, just like how we did with other surahs, have really a wide variety of different meanings there. And perhaps what we have just talked about is just an intro, but then when you contemplate on them, you will find a lot, inshallah, to benefit in your life. So let's use the following 7 minutes, inshallah, to answer questions, or if you have anything to add as a comment, more than happy, inshallah. Yes. So if you're talking about what happens before Yawm al-Qiyamah, there's a hadith that the Rasul ﷺ said, وَنَارٌ تَخْرُجُ مِنْ عَدَنٍ تَطْرُدُ النَّاسَ إِلَى مَحْشَرِهِمْ أو تَجْمَعُ النَّاسَ إِلى مَحْشَرِهِمْ. That there will be a fire that comes from Adan. Adan is in Yemen. By the way, Adan is, anyone saw the Adan on Google Map? Adan is on top of a volcano. Did you know that? Yeah, I mean, just look it up. There's a huge volcano, and Adan is on the top of it. It's one of the most very beautiful and important cities in Yemen. So Rasul ﷺ said that there will be a fire going from Yemen, and it will take people to their mahshar. Now this applies to the people who were living at that time. But then, of course, everyone will die. And then on the day of judgment, when people are, brought all together, at that point in time, Allahu Alam. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, يَوْمَ تُبَدَّلُ الْأَرْضُ غَيْرَ الْأَرْضِ. That on that day, the earth will be different, will be changed. Yes, there will still be earth, but how is it shaped? Allahu Alam. I mean, a hadith about Sham and of Afdal Sham, some of them are easy to understand, and some of them are just ghaib. We cannot describe them. And Wallahu Alam, the Hashr part is one of those examples that are very difficult for us to say anything other than what Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has said, literally. Yeah. Yes.
I think you mentioned about Ismailis related to
Yeah.
diaspora. Are these the same Ismailis today?
What I know is that the Ismailis of today are of different groups. So there's Buhara, there's Agha Khani, I think I heard a Nizari. So Allahu Alam which one. But to the best of my understanding, the Qaramita who did this were the most extreme ones. Do we have them now? Allahu Alam. I don't know. But they were the most extreme because if you know in the history we had the Fatimi Khilafah. Fatimi Khilafah was also Ismaili. It was in Egypt. And those Qaramita were in the eastern zone of Saudi Arabia. Yeah. Allahu Alam. I mean, they were the extremists of the Ismaili, but do we have them now? I don't know. And I don't believe so, to be honest. Yeah.
This Mazhab today that we have doesn't go that far. I don't think so.
It does.
No, this Mazhab, the people who are Ismaili today.
So they all belong to Ismail, and Ismail, by the way it was structured is that the Shia who actually left the fold of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they believed in what they call it 12 Imams, right? And one of their principle is that the eldest son of each Imam will be the next Imam, all the way until the number 12. And then they finish. They stop because they believe that the 12th one is the last one, and then after that it's Yawm al-Qiyamah. I think at number 7, it happened that this Imam had 2 sons. The eldest one was wicked, was bad, and the second one was righteous. So at that time, the first split happened between Shia. Those who believe in the system of the eldest should lead, they followed that person who was wicked, and those include the Ismaili. The others who said no, he has to be righteous, followed the second son, and then they went all the way to the Hassan al-Askari. And those are the 12. The 12ers is what we call them, the Ithna Ashariya, which is usually what is in Iran now and other places. Yeah. Wa iyyakum. Yeah. Any other question? No, I did not, wallahi. So the brother is saying that some researchers have found some samples of the Sijil. Subhanallah. Okay. Subhanallah. Mhm. No, no. And so the question is, does Quran make any reference to where those sajid or stones were picked? I actually wanted to note here that, subhanAllah, one of the major lessons that we take from the Quran when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about stories in the past is that the stories do not talk about the details that are of no value to the listens. So for example, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about the people of Kahf, this a group that went to the Kahf, did Allah mention their name? No. Did Allah mention their numbers? Allah mentioned that people were debating, but Allah didn't say that their number was. Did Allah mention their times? Did Allah mention their location? None of that mattered to give the essence of the story. And that's what we learn from Quran, that we should treat history. So there's no harm people to try to find out about like where the place was and all that stuff. But what Quran is telling us, don't waste your time on that. Put more effort to understand the essence. And that's what Muslims should always get from history. History is not just about dates and places and names and whatnot. History really means that, at least for Muslims, it means that the experience that other people had, take a lesson from, so that it doesn't happen to you. Or at least you take advantage. So that's where we always should be thinking. And one of the worst things that could ever happen when people study the knowledge of tafsir is really to dig deeper into those things and leave the main essence of the ayah itself or the stories. Alhamdulillah, I mean, it is not common, but I did see, especially some of those people who are trying to bring something like very different and very unique. Their tafsir, for example, of this surah, Surah Al-Fil, would be more about let's show you what happened, and they talk about some of the details about the clay and about those birds and whatnot. And I mean, there's no harm for a person to ask. There's no harm, of course, to even make a study. But the issue is that the Quran has actually made a pattern that when anything is mentioned, it's mentioned for that, for the benefit of the story and the lessons learned, inshallah. Allah barak fikum. Yes. Yes, go ahead. Maybe it means something else in their language. Yeah, I see. So this, yeah, Allah yahdina jami'an. I saw this practice not only in the subcontinent, but actually in many places. Even Arabs do it sometimes. And I still remember that one day I met with someone, and I asked him about the children's name, and he said his first son was Amma, and his second son was Yatasa'alun. I said, how did you do this? He said, we have a habit that we open the Mus'haf like at random, and while closing the eyes, and place his finger on one place, and it happened to be Amma. And he said, I will not do the same next time, I will just pick the next word. So Amma and then Yatasa'alun. I said, what if it was Shaitan? What if it were Iblis? I mean, what? I mean, it doesn't work that way. SubhanAllah. And that was Arab. I mean, it just happens. SubhanAllah, that this is not the right practice. And of course, Sajid is not a good one. Of course, it's not. Allah subhanahu Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has actually changed people's name because they were not following they were not meaningful. So many people who came to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam with bad names, he Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam changed their names. So any name that has a bad meaning, or a name that, for example, is very common only within the non-Muslims, or a name that has some la samahullah shirk, like for example we have in our people, we have Abdul Hussein. Did you hear this? Abdul Hussein, like Abdullah, there's Abdul Hussein. Abdul Rasul. Abdul Rasul, yeah, it's very common in Arab, yeah. So those names in Sharia are not permissible, of course, yeah. Of course, the good name will have impact on their personality, of course. So Sajid, Sajid would make the person very pessimistic in their lives. Allahu Alam. جزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. صلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.